This is the time and date set for probation violation sentencing. If you had a chance to review the probation violation report.
I have, Your Honor.
Any additions, corrections?
No, Your Honor, other than the elocution. And my client also has elocution too.
Okay, Mr. Juliet, any additions, corrections from the people?
No, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dobiash, go ahead with anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client.
Your Honor, I've read the probation violation recommendation report. It's well written. It's very detailed. There is a recommendation here from the Department of Corrections that the defendant be sentenced to not less than 23 months to 5 years with credit for 157 days previously served. My argument here would be that in this case, a year and a half, 1 year, 6 months would be sufficient in this case. Ms. Aker obviously has a serious methamphetamine problem. At the time that she suffered this charge, she was in the Sheboygan County Jail. I hate to say it, but something like this floating around, the temptations there, it can't be helped, but obviously she should not be using methamphetamine within the confines of the Sheboygan County Jail. And it just goes back that I believe that a year and a half would be sufficient.
Thank you, Mr. Dobiash. Ms. Akers, you don't have to make a statement today, but it is allowed. Is there anything you want to say or no?
Yes. Your Honor, good morning. I want to start off by saying I'm sorry to everyone in the community. I know I've made mistakes in my life and since I've been locked up, but I've really been taking the rest of my time seriously and trying to do better. With the mistakes I have made, I have set goals and dreams for my future. Not asking for no time at all, but I'm asking for forgiveness and leniency. So after my time, I can prove to myself and to the community that I am a good person. And just because I'm an addict, I can still do good things in my life and will be a recovering addict and still make a life for myself. Thank you.
Mr. Juliet, recommendations.
Your Honor, I would just note that on the underlying offense that's the subject of this probation violation, there was a good argument to send the defendant to prison on that charge alone. And since then, she has picked up one OWI, operating under the influence of drugs, and one possession of methamphetamine in Chippewa County, together with this prisoner possession of contraband and use of meth in jail. So I do think it's time to send her to prison. So I'd ask the court to follow the recommendation.
Right, thank you. Ms. Akers, if you please stand for the court sentence. You know, oftentimes in the probation violation matters, what's a little tricky is, you know, the violations themselves are not all that we're thinking about. You know, as your attorney indicated, really the bulk of your violations here are using drugs, sometimes in the jail, which are separate crimes as well. But they're basically somebody who's struggling with substance abuse, continuing to struggle with substance abuse. Well, we don't like to send people to prison for just that. But when we're sentencing people for violations of probation, we are back here on the underlying case. And the underlying case was very serious. You know, you were involved with a number of other people trading stolen guns for drugs. And in that case, you could have gone to prison that day at that sentencing. I gave you a downward departure to let it be concurrent with stuff you had going on in another county so that you could have those chances. And sadly, you know, you haven't really taken advantage of that. There's been a lot of new criminal activity while you've been on probation, in the jail, out of the jail, sometimes driving. So for that reason, I think it's certainly appropriate to revoke your probation. What was the violation referred to in this one was use in the jail. Okay. So based on what we're here for the violation that we're here for, I will revoke your probation and I'll commit you to the Michigan Department of Corrections for a term of not less than 18 months nor more than 5 years. And you have credit for 157 days previously served. Any amounts that were previously assessed remain due and owing in the amount of any unpaid balance. You look like you have a question about that. You have a question for your lawyer for me? 18 months is when you're eligible for 18 months minus the 157 credit, you're eligible for parole. But they can keep you up to 5 years if you don't behave well in prison. So it's 18 months to 5 years sentence, credit for 157 days. If you wish to file an appeal, you have to file an application to the Court of Appeals. If you wanted a lawyer for that, you'd have to ask me within 42 days. So we're going to hand you some paperwork explaining that appeal process, ask you to initial one copy for us, and the other one's for you to fill out if you want to take an appeal. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.